All right, good afternoon and welcome to Simple and Scalable Performance Management Solutions for Every Organizations. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Trevor Sparks with the GTM Marketing Department. And in a moment, I'll introduce our presenter, Kate Chamberlain. But first, feel free to use the questions functionality to ask your questions during today's presentation. You'll find that in the webinar console. And we'll get to as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. If we don't get to your question, we'll be sure to follow up in the next day. And also, you'll receive an email later today with a link to watch a video recording as well as a PDF version of the presentation. Our presenter today is Kate Chamberlain, an HR consultant with GTM. Kate is an accomplished HR consultant with over a decade of experience specializing in talent and performance management. Known for building high-impact talent frameworks and implementing performance management systems, she has empowered teams and leaders to align employee success with organizational goals. Kate's expertise spans leadership training, employee engagement, and talent strategies, with a focus on creating data-driven, scalable solutions that foster continuous development and measurable growth. In her career, Kate has successfully introduced performance metrics, optimized talent processes, and utilized tools to deliver actionable insights into team development. Her commitment to equity and inclusivity has shaped talent strategies that support diverse hiring pipelines and equitable career advancement. An advocate for professional growth, Kate coaches teams on maximizing talent and performance, helping them to thrive in dynamic environments. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Kate. Kate?
Thank you, Trevor, and welcome to all of you tuning in with us today. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So, performance management sounds like another one of those corporate buzzwords, right? But at its core, it's really all about helping employees grow while ensuring your business succeeds. So, whether you have a team of 5 or 500 team members, performance management is simply just a way to set clear expectations, provide regular support, and track progress in a way that really works for everyone. Why should this matter to you? Well, when you have a solid yet simple performance management system in place, you not only support your team's development, but you also see the impact on your bottom line. Companies with strong performance management frameworks often experience higher employee retention, more engagement, and ultimately better business outcomes. So we're going to poll the audience here, get you guys all involved here as well. So we're going to have a pop up a question here. Which of these best describes how your company currently handles employee performance? So whether you have something formal in place, we do the annual reviews, would love to hear a little bit more about what y'all are currently doing. Oh, how I love watching data come in. Awesome. So it looks like a little bit of everything. Awesome. Okay. So it looks like from formal processes in place to annual or occasional reviews. We've got some that are doing continuous feedback and those who are utilizing tools as well. So very cool. Thank you for your participation. All right. So let's start by acknowledging that the traditional methods, so think annual reviews, they're not quite cutting it anymore. They can oftentimes be one-sided, a little bit out of touch, with the fast-paced and evolving needs of today's workforce. So what's replacing them? So we're seeing a shift towards more of a continuous feedback model and data-informed decision making where conversations are happening more frequently and adjustments are made in real time, not just once a year. So the idea here is to create a dynamic system where employees feel supported, valued, and are also aligned with company goals. All right, all the acronyms. We love acronyms in HR. So let's dive into a few tools that you can use here. So first off, and this is just a sampling of things that are available. We have the GROW model. So it's a simple 4-step method for setting and achieving goals, standing for goal, reality, options, and way forward. So think of this as a coaching session in a box. You can guide team members through these steps, you help them clarify their goals, understand their current situation, explore options, and commit to an action plan. Next up, we have SMART goals, which stand for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So these are effective for setting clear, actionable objectives. And when you articulate goals clearly using this model, you set up a roadmap for success that's easier to both track and measure. And finally, for more advanced goal setting, there's the OKR, or Objectives and Key Results approach. This aligns individual and team goals directly with your business's overall strategy. OKRs can be great for ensuring that everyone knows how their work contributes to the larger picture, promoting accountability and motivation. Knowing that these methods it's not a one size fits all. So being conscious of that before you start implementation is always important. So with these models, they provide structure, consistency, and clarity. And when you set and track goals effectively, you make it easier for your team to succeed, which directly impacts your business outcomes. A powerful alternative to traditional performance reviews is the 360-degree review. This method collects feedback from various sources, colleagues, managers, direct reports, and even clients. It provides a more balanced and comprehensive view of an employee's performance. Why does this matter? It helps minimize biases and ensures that evaluations are fair and well-rounded. Companies like Netflix and GE have adopted this approach, and because it fosters a culture of accountability, we can even apply this in smaller to mid-sized businesses, which means you can get this honest, multi-dimensional view of how your team is performing, which helps you make better evidence-informed decisions. All right, so the power of feedback. So feedback doesn't have to be this complicated or intimidating task on your day to day. In fact, like even using something like the STAR model can make it more straightforward. So STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's a simple way to structure feedback, ensuring that it's specific, constructive, and actionable. And here's how it works. So you describe the situation where the behavior occurred, outline the task the person was responsible for, explain the action they took, and then discuss the result. So, this provides more of a clear and objective pathway while helping to eliminate those ambiguities so that team members know exactly where they stand and what steps they can take moving forward. So, why is this important? Well, when feedback is consistent and specific, it often builds trust and growth. So it's less about pointing fingers, but more about collaborating and moving forward together. So let's talk about goal setting, which is really the backbone of any effective performance management system. When we look at short-term goals, think of these as quick wins. Something we can revisit weekly or even bi-weekly to keep the team's momentum going. These goals give us that instant gratification and help us to stay flexible, especially when you're in that fast-paced type of work environment. And now with long-term goals, we're getting into strategy. Using a framework like OKRs that align individual contributions with larger business objectives. It's kind of like mapping a pathway from where we are to where we want to be as a company. And for smaller teams, goal setting can be a collaborative process, involving team members in setting these objectives, and keeping flexibility is really key. Saying that it's okay to adapt and adjust goals as you go. This collaboration, not only gets everyone on the same page, but it's also boosting that buy-in, making goals much more sustainable. All right, time to get into our second poll of our presentation here. What is the biggest challenge your company is facing with employee performance? I know there's a number of options here, but definitely select the one that best fits your current situation. I don't have fun music to play, but as long as I just don't start singing, right? And I watch everybody leave. Okay, so definitely setting clear goals, giving feedback more regularly, and keeping employees engaged, finding time. Man, if anyone has an idea for that, let me know. Awesome. No, that's perfect. Thank you all for participating in that. So finding time, that's a great segue into this slide, technology. I've heard the words leveraging technology in just about every webinar I've attended in the past 5 years. But tech is really a game changer when it comes to performance management, even for small to mid-sized businesses or SMBs. So platforms that track performance metrics, provide that real-time data, and automate feedback make it easier for any size team to stay on top of things without spending hours on mundane administrative tasks. So, from performance tracking software that can monitor goals continuously to AI driven insights that can provide predictive trends like turnover risk, technology can really optimize how you support and grow your team. So, the key here is to use these tools as enhancements, not replacements for the human touch component. So, by automating routine tasks, you're freeing up so much more time to have those meaningful coaching conversations, that can really drive impact. And remember that the right tech tools can increase efficiency and fairness, eliminating some of those biases, ensuring that everyone's progress is tracked consistently. So data isn't just for large corporations. Even SMBs can leverage data to drive meaningful performance management as well. So with collecting and analyzing performance data, you can gain the same insight into areas like employee engagement, workload balance, and developmental opportunities. So, for example, you can use predictive analytics, to reveal trends like high attrition rates or among high performing team members, which you're like, wait a second, you have high performers, but they're still rolling over. By catching these patterns early, you can take more proactive steps as opposed to reactive, like providing more learning and development opportunities, adjusting workloads before it's too late, and then you're backfilling really great talent that's hard to replace. So the takeaway here, data can help you remove that guesswork, eliminate biases, and make informed decisions that positively impact your team and your bottom line. So, to keep your team engaged and developing, it's important to provide continuous learning opportunities. So, many employees leave their jobs not because of pay, but because they just don't feel challenged or see a pathway to growth. So, considering implementing learning paths that focus on both hard skills, so like software proficiency, and soft skills, so communication, problem solving skills, and as automation increases, these human skills become more and more critical, to keep that balance. So offering development opportunities, even building it into your employee benefits package, it shows that you're investing in your team's future, and it helps to retain that top talent, which ultimately directly impacts the stability and growth of your business. All right, so let's dive into manager training. So, a key element in making performance reviews impactful and constructive is having adequate training as well. So, when it comes to structuring reviews, maybe using a checklist or a framework can help managers ensure that, they're covering all their bases, whether it's performance metrics or, a specific example of achievements. This maintains that balance and actionable, you know, basis for reviews. For engagement, regular check-ins are pretty critical. So encouraging managers to keep those check-ins, light but focused as well. This keeps that communication flowing, and gives both the manager and the team member a chance to address any challenges in real time rather than waiting for formal reviews when something may not be as relevant at that time. For smaller teams, performance management can be adjusted to be more sustainable. So instead of quarterly formal reviews, you might use monthly informal check ins, considering mentorship opportunities or cross training, which often require fewer resources and can be incredibly effective in boosting engagement and skill building without heavy overhead. Employee well being is closely linked to performance and is one of the top focuses of businesses today. So incorporating well-being metrics into your performance management system is about recognizing the whole person and not just the job that they're doing. So metrics can include work-life balance, stress levels, job satisfaction to provide insight into how supported and engaged your team members feel. So why is this important? Well, employees who feel valued and supported are more likely to stay with your company and perform at their best. So it's really about creating a workplace culture where people want to thrive, which ultimately benefits your business as well. All right. So let's talk about agility in performance management. So I'm not talking agility like going through, an obstacle course, but is similarly it is navigating. So we live in a very, dynamic business environment where things can change rapidly, especially if you're in the startup environment. Often ambiguities as you look to find what works best for you. So, having an agile approach means setting flexible goals, continuously reviewing process and or progress rather, and adapting as needed. So, this way, your performance management system is relevant and effective no matter how you evolve as a company. So, by adopting this agile mindset, you keep your team aligned with shifting business priorities, ensuring that everyone is working towards the same goals and adjusting as things evolve. To summarize, modern performance management is all about setting up a system that is flexible, fair, and data informed. So, it's about using tools that make things easier and ensure that your team feels supported every step of the way. So there are platforms for any size of company, or there are teams like ours at GTM that provide, that direct solution for your team if you'd rather outsource your performance management needs. So for your business, investing in an inclusive performance management system or consulting services means better retention, higher engagement, improved business results. Backfilling talent, someone who's worked in talent for over a decade, it's expensive and it's difficult and time consuming to constantly backfill. So, this isn't simply about tracking performance. It's all about unlocking potential and driving growth in 2025 and beyond. So that concludes me. I'm sure you're so thrilled to continue hearing my voice, but I'm going to turn it back over to Trevor, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about what we offer at GTM. Trevor?
All right. Yep. Thank you, Kate. Some great information, valuable takeaways. Hopefully, someone can found something they can bring back to their organization on performance management. And before we get to your questions, and if you do have a question, you can use the question functionality in the webinar console to submit your questions. But before we get to those, just a quick word about GTM and how we can help you attain your performance management goals through our technology and our expertise. We deliver a complete end-to-end human capital management technology platform that combines HR consulting services. So just as much as employees want to know how they're performing. A clear understanding of the progress they're making towards goals and objectives fuels their engagement, productivity, and well-being. It also helps in reducing turnover, as Kate was talking about. So beyond more flexible work arrangements and more safety and security, employees are looking for work-life balance, career advancement opportunities, fair compensation, and continuous learning opportunities. With iSolve Share and Perform, you can create more purposeful and promising paths for your employees. And by measuring and guiding their individual and collective progress, iSolve Share and Perform and iSolve People Cloud help you systematically connect with your employees, including performance reviews, a 360 feedback process, goal setting, monitoring, and more. And tap into our human resources expertise with a skilled consultant like Kate, along with performance management training and coaching. We can also help with organizational development and compensation analysis. So that's a little bit about GTM, and we're going to get on to your questions. So if you do have any questions, please submit those into the question box, and we'll get to as many as we can. If we don't get to all of your questions, we'll be sure to follow up with you very shortly. So Kate, first question we have here is, how can we make performance management effective for small teams without adding a lot of extra work?
Fair question. So, performance management doesn't need to just be another burdensome task on your plate. It can actually streamline your team's dynamics and enhance productivity. So, I think starting simple, with an impactful approach, something like setting clear expectations, regular check-ins, that could be monthly one-on-one meetings for feedback, having a shared document to track goals, and then, utilizing short-term goals to maintain that momentum and, maintain having motivating targets too. Just focusing on flexibility, quality over quantity in your feedback as well. And if it's in your budget, lean on technology. There is a multitude of different tools out there. Find something that's user friendly and prioritize that automation, to save you some time. That's very valuable, especially when you have a leaner team. Good
Good
question.
advice. Yep. Excellent. Looks like next question that has come in. What's the best way to set realistic but motivating goals for employees?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I think really this is kind of an art of balancing achievable benchmarks with ambition. So you can start, say, for example, using the SMART framework. It's giving your employees clarity on, what the expectations are and aligning their work with broader organizational tool or goals rather. So I think when an employee's goals align with more strategic initiatives throughout the company, this feels a little bit more motivating because you can actually see what your contributions are impacting. So it's not just like, hey, I'm churning and burning over here and why am I doing this? Where you actually see like, oh, my contributions are moving the needle in terms of our overall strategies company wide. So you can incorporate short-term goals alongside longer-term ones to, accomplish little regular wins and just be open to making adjustments. Not everything is going to work 100% the first try. If you do, I'm amazed and proud. But, just keeping things relevant and attainable, I think will set you up for success there.
Great. Our next question, we probably have, this might be the last one, but if you do have
Okay.
questions, please continue to submit them and we'll answer them when we're done here today. But our next
Yeah.
question, how do we train managers to give constructive feedback that actually motivates improvement?
The age-old question. So I would say, I mean, training is very critical here. Because if you want buy-in, like you got to make sure that folks, I mean, sometimes people may be, first-time managers of a people team and not really know where to start. So I think covering both content and delivery of feedback is really important here. You could implement and utilize that STAR model of, making feedback a little bit more on the specific and actionable side. Training on soft skills here, so active listening, empathy, patience, very critical. Making sure that conversations are human centric. And it really impacts how feedback is received too. Because if you're really cold and abrupt, like you're not going to get as, there's not going to be as warm a dialogue there. And people feel demotivated in that aspect. So I think really focusing on behaviors and results instead of personal attributes can really keep consistency across the board here.
Excellent. And that is all the time we have for questions today. So thank you, Kate, for sharing your expertise with us.
My
If
pleasure.
you have, yeah, great. If you have any additional questions or want to dive deeper, feel free to contact Martin Patrick directly. His contact information is on their screen. He's the head of our HR consultant practice. And then if you're interested in what we can do as far as our HR consulting services, Kalina's will be your point person there. She's our HR sales consultant, and her contact information is right on your screen as well. Feel free to give her a call, shoot her an email, and we can talk more about our HR consulting and performance management. So thanks again for joining us. Be sure to look out for that email later today with a link to a video recording and a PDF version of today's presentation. And we hope you have a great rest of the day.